State government has warned residents in flood-prone areas including Lekki, Ikorodu and Ajegunle to relocate immediately as more heavy rains are expected this season. Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources Tokunbo Wahab sounded the alarm on Tuesday during a live interview, saying those around Ajilete axis, Majidun in Ikorodu and parts of Lekki must move now. Isheri in the OPIC area was also flagged as high risks. Wahab, however, reassured that areas like Ekpe, Mushi and Ikeja are relatively safe. This comes after marathon rainfall from Sunday night into Monday submerged roads, homes and vehicles, crippling movement and commerce across Lagos. Wahab cited forecasts by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency predicting heavier rainfall in 2025 than last year, warning that lowland dwellers must seek higher grounds. Lagos will have flash flooding. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, Wahab said. Our job is to mitigate impact with resilient infrastructure. He said the state has ramped up drainage clearance and flood pot expansion, both emphasize public responsibility. We won't lie to Lagosians. Nature will do what it will. We must act together, he said. Residents are advised to relocate where necessary and remain alert as the state battles extreme weather linked to climate change. Do we always wait for the rains to start before we clean the drainage systems and prepare for the flood? Or do we take proactive measures to prepare because we are aware of these reports before they happen and prepare ahead of time? What are your thoughts on this report?
Otaria, that is the problem with Nigeria. Bet you, after now, next year, by the same time, we'll also complain the same thing. And it's not, it becomes a headline news, it becomes a business-based adventure because on this flooding now, some persons will be funded, some persons will be mobilized to do this. So it beats my imagination whereby in the country, a thing happens repeatedly. Not one, not two, not twice, not even out of the 10. Because in Nigeria, in 2012, right, when we have the flooding in Port Harcourt that took from the Kanjidan River, right, down to the new Calabar River that also almost took all the freshwater parts down to the Orashi River, and where we have the Abuodual, Bemondani and Auda, all those parts, and that took lives. So many persons died. And do you know that as I'm talking to you up till now, we're still having flood in these areas, and we'll see it as a business-based adventure. That's my problem with Nigeria. We see it as a business adventure. Why this is coming to play is because it is happening in Lekki. And we know that Lekki is not mainly an upland. That was mainly built. It is like a swamp whereby it was filled and people water as it. So what are the measures that the government is making to ensure that this does not occur again? One
of the measures is telling them to move. Where do you think they're going to move to?
No, okay. Someone who has built a two-story building, who has built a bungalow, who has a home, should move to where? For how many months? And come back and move next year and come back. That means on a yearly basis, the person should, that means the government should make it and should tell them, those persons residing there, that they should also rent an apartment somewhere else after this, because yearly, intermittently, they will be moving like that.
For most people in Lagos, you know that people try to get houses close to their jobs because of the traffic situation that Lagos usually has going on, right? I personally I have stayed at a spot in traffic just on a single file for 3 hours in Lagos, right? And due to that experience, if I was going to get a house close to where I was going, if I was going there every day, I'd rather get a house close to my workstation. So that way, I don't need to commute for long, get home late, I have to leave the house early. So some people that have moved to Lekki, moved to Ajegunle, moved to all of these areas are there simply because they already probably have their kids' school. The spouses, if they have a spouse, are already, their offices are close to that vicinity. It's basically around their scope of work. They got the apartment around their scope of work. When the Lagos State government, Commissioner for Environment is saying he needs them to relocate, what do you think would happen to their jobs? What would happen to when children come back to school? He said he expected that we are meant to be in an August break. but climate is climate. So you can't, necessarily say, like I asked you, we are supposed to be in August break. It's raining heavily in Port Harcourt just now. You can't say today it's not going to rain anymore for the next 2 days, because we can't really decide that to some extent, right? When school comes back in session, let's say the rains are still on, what would the fate of the children and their families be with this rains? And with this move, since they've moved?
What he's even saying about this is a provision for these persons that are moving down there. You're telling them to move. You move on what ground, on what basis? Has the government made a provision somewhere else for them to move and to stay for a while before coming back? That's on one part. And the other part, to say that they were expecting August break. Are they trying to detect for nature? Are they trying to detect to the supreme being for this? When we know that the climate change is inevitable, and nature has taken its course. So we cannot account for what we cannot control. We cannot control nature. Nature, in the sense that we cannot control the atmosphere, right. the rainfall. The rainfall is not in our making. It's being controlled by the supernatural being. So on that part, saying that if they were expecting August break, it is too lame. It's too lame for one to hear. They were expecting, and so for that reason, and also we also have rains within the September, October, November in some parts of the country. So what are the measures put? What are the arsenals placed on ground to curb this? That is the part. That is the way forward. They should be looking at. They are just coming to give us a news on this. What are the platform? Have they built rehabilitation centers where these persons will move on to? No. You're just telling them to move to where some persons, their families, they don't have extended families outside outside where they're living. So
some people, do you think
some of them, based on the nature of their job,
right,
living the logistic movements, how and they are also going to overcrowd those places that they are going to, that they are insurgent. So imagine the populace. You're not just telling a family of 10 or a family of 20 to move to relocate. You're telling a whole community, a region, to move over to another region, to overcrowd that region. So now you're also telling the businesses, because there are some persons that are also doing business, like
right,
selling shops and all that,
right,
business and all that. Also, you're also telling them
people that already paid taxes,
people are paying
people
taxes,
that already paid rent,
paid rents and all that. So also telling those landlords also move. In fact, it's not just a one-page analysis or one-page discussion.
Right.
It is a 10-paper discussion, because if we're looking at all that would be involved,
right,
for them to relocate, it's not just what they are coming to say. You're just saying, they are saying it, one is saying it maybe from the leisure of his house. Now let's look at the logistics involved, the finances involved, everything that should be put in place for this person to relocate. So what the government should do, the government should look at how best can we eradicate this, curb this, make sure that this does not occur again in the nearest future. Thank you.
Thank you.